how do we pay off all of our debt in a debt freedom journey? Debt freedom was such a foreign concept to me until our journey. And the only reason why I heard about it was because in my 20s, I was looking for ways to be financially independent. And some of the people that I got around were telling me essentially that if you wanted to be financially free, you needed to no longer have debt. And I was like, okay, well, if that's the next step, then get me on it. And so I started paying off debt, and I just started putting a game plan together, and that was it. And so I guess the first thing that I would share would be figuring out a why, because I think that for me anyway, if I didn't have a strong why as to why I would be paying off debt, when the hard times would get there, then I'd be like, oh, but it's just one time. It's no big deal, right? Whereas when we're very intentional about our progress and intentional about our goal, then we will follow through regardless. And so for me, it was to be financially independent. And so it doesn't have to be like something like that. It can just be because we're saving for a trip, or because we want to pay off our house, or whatever. Like it can be anything. And to me, like, so my journey actually was, I started back in 2011, and I had paid off $25,000 of debt in 3 years. And then when Micah and I got married in 2014, we paid off the remainder, $20,000 of debt in 7 months. And Micah has never been in debt. He is absolutely amazing with his finances, and just very wise with his finances, which is awesome, because not so much for me. My $45,000 of debt were like from university, from Australia, like, because I like traveling, and from shoes and clubbing and all of these things that, like, yeah. So I'm very, very thankful that I have a husband who is just so amazing in everything, but mainly amazing in finances. Not mainly, also amazing in finances. And then after that, what we did is we just tighten up our budget, right? Like we tighten up our budget, we lower our fixed expenses, and we just like attacked the debt that I had. And so our budget was essentially our house expenses, groceries, internet, cell phone bill, and I think that was it. Like, oh yeah, tithing, because Micah always tied. He is awesome, and that I've never tied before. And when we got together, that was a conversation we had, and that was something for him was a non-negotiable. And so we tied, and I was like, okay, well, I guess this is what we're doing. And so we didn't have any gyms, we didn't have any entertainment budgets, we didn't have anything. Like that seriously, that was our budget. We did have a $50 monthly for date nights, and that is so nothing. I remember we would go to the coffee shop and have like a coffee or like dessert or something. It was, but it was just such a treat for us. It was such a reward, because knowing that we were following through and paying off debt. And yeah, so that was awesome. And the other thing we did is we tracked every single penny on a spreadsheet, and we still do to this day, even though we've been debt free since 2015. It's just, it gives me so much peace to know that where my money goes. And I know there's tons of amazing tons of amazing program out there that track all of it for you. And it's amazing because you don't have to do anything. But for me, I felt like I needed to have hands-on. I needed to actually have physical, obviously I'm not holding the money physically, but like physical, like action, I guess, in inputting the numbers into my spreadsheet. And I love spreadsheets. So this was not a problem for me. And I know that some people, they prefer like not touching anything, and that's great. But for me, I really needed to do that, because physical like cash envelope didn't work for me, because my brain just was not wired that way. Whereas I was like, okay, well, I have a $50 budget, but then what happens when it's like $42.73, like, but I don't have change in my envelope anyway, so that didn't work out for me. And there's also ways so I started with paying off my smallest debt. So I had 3 credit cards, and I think a line of credit as well, and then my student loan. Why I had 3 credit cards, I don't know, but that's what I did. And so I started paying off the smallest amount on all of my credit, essentially. And I intended to use the debt snowball method or whatever. And that didn't work for me. My brain was not able to it wasn't simple enough for me. So I was a banker, so I ended up consolidating all of our debt, my debt. I consolidated all of my debt, and I only had one payment with one interest rate to track of. And because so what happens when you do that is like, so my credit cards back then was 19%. I don't know what it is now, but back then it was 19%. And then when you paid $35 a year, you could lower your interest rate to 11%. Again, that was like forever ago, so I don't know the numbers right now, but that's what I did. And so I would pay the $35 a year and then lower that to 11%. And it was awesome. But when I consolidated all of my debt, it was like, I think like a 7 or 9% loan or something. And I was still able to have one credit card because I worked in a bank. And so that's what I did. And it was just so much simpler for me because I just knew, okay, this is my main focus. I just need to attack this one debt here. I didn't have to figure out all of these other ways. And so there's different methods out there. So do whatever works for you. Do a trial and error. And that's what I did essentially. And so the snowball method is essentially paying off the smallest debt to the smallest amount. So if I have 3 credit cards, the one was like $100, $200, and $300, then paid $100 right away. So then we have the motivation to keep going because we have a small win. So then that's exciting. And so that's the mindset behind that. And then there's the, I think it's called like avalanche or something. And it's paying off the highest interest rate first because then we get to save on interest rate. And so again, do what works for you. Do like, I'm not giving any financial advices here. So you may want to go check with somebody who's professionally trained for that. And so I guess the main thing for me to share is if you are on a debt repayment journey, I just want to applaud you. It is not the easiest thing. It is challenging. It takes all of our sweat, tears, and just everything. Like it takes tons of discipline, tons of intentionality, and you've got this. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep going because the end is nearer than you think.